2 months ago, I made this video about selling my entire S&P 500 portfolio after 5 years, and the internet totally blew up that video and it got over 20,000 views. But what I didn't review back then was that I was secretly working behind the scenes starting a brand new S&P 500 portfolio, but this time on interactive brokers. And I know what a lot of Singaporeans in their 30s are thinking about right now because I'm in the exact same situation. Is it too late to start investing in the S&P 500 in 2025? The markets just keep going higher and higher, and I'm afraid that the moment I press buy, the markets are just going to crash like nobody's business. So in today's video, I'll review my new S&P 500 portfolio after 6 months of investing, the lessons I've learned, and whether it's still possible to make money starting in 2025. So let's start off with what I call the millionaire mindset. One of my many downfalls for the previous S&P 500 portfolio was that there was a lack of consistency and there was a shiny object syndrome. I promised myself that I would invest consistently every single month, but as usual, the emotions kicked in. When the markets were high, I was afraid that it would drop. When the markets were low, I was afraid they would drop even lower. I also felt like I was smarter than the rest of the world and I could get better returns by stock picking and investing into other different crap out there. So that's why starting this new portfolio, I realized that I needed to start on a blank slate and I needed to start properly. And that's why I decided to have a millionaire mindset and focus on the long-term goal instead. So we all have friends who have traded their way to 10k, 20k or even $100,000 in profits by stock picking. But how many people have traded their way to $1 million or more? Would you have the guts to invest $100,000 or more into a single stock? Probably not, right? I would hesitate to do so as well. That's a lot of money to put into one single stock. But investing into the S&P 500 would be a no-brainer diversified strategy because you're investing into real, proper big companies like Google, Tesla, Amazon, all these things that you use on a daily basis, and they're making lots of money, and by them making money, that's why the S&P 500 is growing, and that's why most people will be daring to invest so heavily into them. I heard this on the First Million podcast the other day where they were saying that only two things really matter when it comes to investing. Number one is the rate of return, which means how much percentage gains you're getting in a year, and the second one is the length of the runway. If the length of the runway is far enough, which means you are investing for a good number of years, then simply having 8 to 10% of average returns in the S&P 500 will earn you millions of dollars in the future. Alex Hormozi has this very interesting phrase as well, where he says that the people who get successful are not the ones that are very smart or they're incredible at getting a lot of returns very quickly, but the ability to do average things consistently for a very long period of time. And I think that's what people like Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, what they have been able to do for a long period of time. And that's why all those returns, when compounded over a long period of time, they yield such big results in the future. So take my current context for example. Let's say I start off with a $10,000 portfolio and I consistently invest $2,000 into the S&P 500 for the next 35 years at 8% return, which is the lower end of the spectrum, right? We gotta be conservative. So I will end up with a portfolio of, drumroll please, $4.6 million. Now, tell me how many of you guys will be able to stock pick your way to $4.6 million. I'm listening, yeah. I would like to hear it. Yeah, or let me know in the comment section down below. Come, challenge me. If you can do so, good for you, but I suspect the majority of us probably can't do it. So whenever I have this shiny object syndrome of wanting to invest into other weird stuff or being hesitant to invest because of the market fluctuations, I will remind myself of this $4.6 million goal on the top that I'm missing out and I'm sacrificing just to invest into something dumb that I'm interested in right now. So this will be the millionaire mindset that I have moving forward to keep myself focused on investing consistently. So once I've locked in full send discipline into the millionaire mindset, the next step would be setting up the champion system to make sure that my actions actually follow through. This was made famous by the author of Atomic Habits, James Clear. I haven't finished reading his book, but I'm going to get to that in a second. What he basically says is that you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your system. Which, now that I've been through the whole process, it is so true. Even though I had these lofty goals of becoming a millionaire, I still needed a way to keep myself consistent, and that's why I chose interactive brokers to invest. Full disclosure, this is not a sponsored video, but I chose them because number one, they had the index fund that I was looking for, which was CSPX. CSPX has a low expense ratio, which means overall low fees, and because it has a treaty with the US, it has 15% lower dividend withholding tax as well. So over 35 years or more, all these small fees and taxes will compound and make sure that I have a way bigger portfolio than everyone else out there. The second reason is that they have this legendary RSP feature, which stands for regular savings plan. So I've talked about this on my channel before, previously on other brokers, so you guys would be kind of familiar if you've been watching me for a while. Once I've set this up, it will automatically buy into the CSPX every single month based on the amount that I set, which is $2,000 based on the previous calculations of hitting that $4.6 million. So every month, I'll just get a very nice notification on my phone to ask me to deposit enough money into the account, and they will just automatically buy it for me regardless of how I'm feeling for the day itself. My emotions do not matter, nobody cares, they'll just buy it for me. You can actually go one step further, which is to connect your bank account to the interactive broker platform so that it auto transfers the money as well. But I just like having this control of manually depositing my money so that I know that I have money this month to invest. So this champion system of mine really saved my butt this year because I started this portfolio in March and it was arguably the best and worst time to start investing. So the last 6 months were actually super challenging to navigate, and I felt like if I didn't have this RSP system in place, I would actually have fallen into the same trap as before. Only investing sporadically and only having a small ass portfolio and regretting my decisions later. The moment I invested my money in March or April, the Trump tariffs happened and the stock market dropped like crazy to about 20 to 30%. At the time, I had a mini panic attack because nobody expected this, right? I definitely wasn't expecting such a big drop in such a short amount of time, but I decided to stick to my guns like a big man. Having the RSP and millionaire mindset also really helped because it helped me zoom out and look at the big picture and just stay consistent with the strategy. I even trusted my gut instinct and invested a little bit more during that event as well, because right after the big drop, the markets recovered very quickly as Trump paused the global tariffs. The markets recovered so quickly that it even pushed to all-time highs in probably a matter of weeks or so. Then came the next problem again. Now that the markets are so high, wouldn't it be primed to drop again? The next problem was continuing to invest while the markets were at all-time highs. Sometimes it really makes me feel like we are having such conflicting brains. When the markets are doing badly, I'm afraid. When the markets are doing well, I'm also afraid. What the hell is my brain thinking? And that's why you can see that I absolutely do not trust my emotions when it comes to investing, but instead stick to my system that's helped me to invest consistently. So despite the highs and the lows, the system continued every month without fail, and I'm happy to say that I've invested $2,000 every single month in the last 6 months. And that brings us very nicely to the $1 million question and why you guys clicked on this video, which is, can you still make money if you started investing in 2025? So far, in the last 6 months or so, I've accumulated a $18,400 portfolio. I've personally invested $14,424 and I've made a profit of $1,984. That brings us to about 13.7% profit, which is higher than the usual 8 to 10% return of the S&P 500 on a yearly basis. So remember our previous calculations of getting a $4.6 million if I was being consistent? Here's the super interesting thing as well. If I invested more during these market recessions of 20 to 30% drops, I might even be able to crack that $5 million value and make even more money. Don't you guys think that that's a super exciting goal for the future? Just a mere 6 months of investing and I have already gotten a decent profit, a new income source, and potentially a big retirement portfolio in the future. And that very nicely brings us to the lessons learned from this 6-month investing experiment. Lesson number 1 is to automate your investments using a champion system like the RSP. Choose a proper broker, a proper index fund, and consistently buy into it. Do not be an idiot and follow your passion or dreams or emotions, whatever it is that you're following. Let's face it, we are all emotional beings with sometimes very little self-control. So as much as you trust yourself, which I really do with myself, use a system like this to take emotions out of the process. This will make investing so much more fuss-free, easier, and you will thank me down the road when you see me in Singapore, maybe at Orchard Road or Bugis or whatever it is. I seem to be meeting more and more people nowadays in my videos. I met this guy called Ben the other day at One Fatten Calf Burger, something like that. Yeah, and he came up to me to say hi, which was really nice. So if you see me on the streets, please say hi. Lesson number 2 is to just get started and build these good investing habits. Even though I'm using the Interactive Brokers app here to invest my money, you are free to do so through any other brokers or index funds. Especially if you're just getting started, my thought process is that you don't have to be too anal about the fees, the type of funds, and the right broker. It's still important to choose the right one, but once you get something that you are satisfied with, then just get started. So apart from Interactive Brokers, I personally use Moomoo and Longbridge Singapore app, as well as they are more intuitive for beginners to get started with. So pick a broker that you trust and index fund that you're comfortable with. Once you have started investing and you have some momentum behind you, then you can start to double down and look at some of these other investments that I mention regularly on the channel. Lesson number 3 is to have the millionaire mindset. Goal setting is one of the oldest and most talked about things in the world. Why? Because it freaking still works. Imagine not knowing where you're going for holiday. How are you even going to start planning for the trip? How do you know if you should take the bus, the train, or even the plane? But if you have clarity like I'm going to Japan this year, then you can work backwards to ask yourself this question: how do I get to Japan? And then you can go ahead to make the decisions knowing that you can get closer to the goal. And that's why it's important to have this goal of reaching my $4.5 million portfolio. Then I can work backwards to ask this simple question: how should I be investing today in order to reach this goal? Will it be through super risky investments like weird ass crypto coins that, go out of business like nowhere? Or will it be through something safe like the S&P 500 to get consistent returns over a long period of time? But I'm saying this from a place of experience where I have more than 5 years of experience doing this, and I've made so many wrong decisions, but also some very, very good decisions as well. I found that it's actually super useful to have a mentor guide you along the way. This helps you to minimize the mistakes you make, keep you accountable, and ensure that you reach your goals of financial freedom in the shortest time possible. So in case this wasn't clear, yes, you can still make money even if you started investing in 2025. Hopefully this video gets you excited to start your investing journey and gets you started on building your retirement portfolio. Thanks for watching, have an amazing day as usual, and I'll see you guys in the next few videos. Bye bye.